when you feel that the pricing is correct, then you will have a different level of conviction in front of the client as well. So you will be able to convince them. But if I tell you, oh, you know what, go and charge $500, but you feel like you should have only charged 100, then even when you're talking to the client, you're just going to be like, yeah, I mean, it starts from like 500 but you just won't have that sort of conviction to close them. So going out to a restaurant is not the only way to hang out with friends. Like literally drag them to the gym with you, or go to a co-working space and sit and work with them, study with them. So you change the environment and what you do together. Maybe you can just go to the park, sit there and work, but you're still hanging out with them. So that's one way you optimize things. You also don't spend money in doing these things.
Hello guys, and welcome to the yet another podcast episode of Just Curious Podcast, where we decode mindset through curiosity. If you are new to our channel, then please subscribe to our channel because we release podcast every week, so you will never miss an update from the Spotlight India. In this podcast episode, we have with us Shreya Pattar, who is an agency owner, content writer, and creator. Shreya is famously known as the LinkedIn girl and also has a following of over 1.3 lakh on LinkedIn. Shreya has written 7 ebooks which has sold thousands of copies globally. In this podcast episode, me and Shreya talked about what is she optimizing for in 2023. Friendship and different aspects of friendship, like how to politely say no to your friends, how your peers influence your certain kind of behaviors, and how to stay away from, lack of a better word, bad friends. This is my personal favorite segment of this podcast, and especially if you are from 16 to 26 age group, then I highly recommend to watch this particular segment of this podcast episode, because you will gain a lot of value and it will also help you a lot. And of course, Shreya is an agency owner, so we talked about how to charge right amount of money from your client, how to deal with clients who are over-expecting in less money, and how to charge more money from your clients. And if you enjoy this kind of conversation, then watch this episode till the end, and also drop a like and share this video with your friends. And now we are available on all the major audio platforms, so if you want to listen to audio version of this podcast, then the link is in the description. So without wasting any further time, this is Shreya Pattar on Just Curious Podcast. Hello guys, and welcome to the yet another podcast episode. And on today's episode, we have with us Shreya Pattar. Hi Shreya, how are you?
Hi, Utsav. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm also good. Good to have you on the podcast, to be very honest.
Good to be here.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
you are writing from the age of 8. Then I don't want to say like how your journey started, but when you realize that, okay, this is a thing that I can try my hands on and I can get money from. When was that moment happen? And you are like, yeah, I want to pursue this.
Um, I think the decision to pursue writing overall was when I decided to study English literature and philosophy in college. That was the idea. But even then, I didn't really know what writing meant. So I didn't know what being a writer was. So in my head, it was still like, okay, if you want to be a writer, you have to be an author and you have to release books. And then you will forever be broke because authors don't make money unless, it gets picked up by some movie like some director or something. It won't make money. Like there's no way
J.K.
of
Rowling kind of
collecting money.
success you need.
Yeah, like one of the authors doing that. J.K.
Huh.
Rowling or Stephen King are like the few writers you can think of who actually made money, but also not through their books, because of their books. They made it because their books were picked up into like series or movies or other things that were used for marketing and promotions and distribution and stuff. But yeah, the idea is that books don't make you money. So in my head, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I think I have to write books. And the weirdest thing was I was never interested in writing books. Like I never wanted to write like a fiction or even a non-fiction. Not really. Never interested in that. But I'm like, okay, let's just see, because I want to write. I don't know what I want to write. We'll see. And then in my just before I joined college, I did a few internships. That's where I learned what copywriting is, what content writing is. Not in depth, but just got an overview, because there I was doing like social media content creation for the agency's clients. Um, And I think the first time I realized that, oh, I can make money from this is when I closed my first client. So I closed my first client because my post on LinkedIn went viral, and a lot of people reached out to me asking if I could write for them and if I could do like social media content for them. Or this one person wanted brochure content. This one person wanted quotes that could go up on the gym, like on the walls of the gym. And all these are like personal interest for me. So I was like, yes, 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 yes. And then the first month I made like 200 or $250 or something. And I was so happy with that. And I was like, okay, now I know how to get paid. Now I know what it means to make money and how to make money online. And that's where it kickstarted. So until then, I had absolutely no idea what sort of writing I wanted to do. But just getting paid that first dollar and realizing how much people are willing to pay. Like at the time, it felt like a lot because my first client paid me like $75 for an article, and by the average standards, it was really high at the time. And I was like, okay, if this is my first client, then I'm definitely doing something right, and I can definitely take it to another level. So yeah, that's why it started with, like, getting paid that first dollar.
Right, interesting. And now, one very basic question, like how do you decide on pricing? Because people suffer a
Mhm.
lot on, setting a price for their service, like as like content creator
Yeah.
or editor, anyone, they suffer a lot on deciding on their prices. And they will not negotiate. If people are negotiating, they will go down as well. So how do you
Mhm.
recommend that set your this price as your base price and don't go below that? How do you do that?
So I don't recommend doing, like, there's no universal price that I can recommend because everyone's skill set is different, and
Yeah, yeah.
especially assuming this podcast will be seen mostly by beginners, so I can't give a base fee for that. But the idea is that you should charge what you feel is right for you, like what you feel you deserve, quote that, and see how many clients you're able to close at that rate. Let's say you've spoken to 10 people and you've had sales calls with 10 people. Out of that, you've managed to close five. Then, you have spoke to, okay, keep it the same or increase it a little bit. If you've closed 10 out of 10, you have to increase your prices because, well, everyone's saying yes. So you have a good offer, you have a good skill set, you should take your price up. If out of 10 people you've closed just one, or you're really struggling to close clients, and their main issue with hiring you is your prices, then you have to lower it. So I think the scope of negotiation definitely depends also on where you are at that particular point. Like, if, for example, even at this stage, it depends on, if is this the person that I really, really want to work with? Is it the person that I know that I can drive good results with, and we can see an increase maybe in 2 months, maybe we'll come back and talk about the prices. Will that happen? Um, do I have scope for taking on more clients? Is it a situation where I probably have fewer clients that I wanted, so I really need to onboard somebody like as soon as possible? So all these factors determine how you will approach your negotiation and your pricing. So there's no blanket rule that, oh, you should not negotiate. It's not that. It's not that. It's what is serving you at that point, and what do you need to keep up with the momentum of work. You do that. But the basic idea is that you start with charging what you feel is right for you. If you feel like, okay, for this I should get paid $100, then you should charge that, because when you feel that the pricing is correct, then you will have a different level of conviction for in front of the client as well.
Hmm.
So you will be able to convince them. But if I tell you, oh, you know what, go and charge $500, but you feel like you should have only charged 100, then even when you're talking to the client, you're just gonna be like, yeah, I mean, it starts from like 500, and but like, you just won't have that sort of conviction to close
Hmm.
them. So you don't want that. So
Hmm.
go with your feel factors in the beginning.
Hmm. And like, what's your opinion on this? Like, if anyone is giving any kind of service, like as a freelancer,
Mhm.
they should focus on a certain kind of niche, or they can take clients from multiple industries or multiple markets.
So you can start out with anything you want. I encourage that because the idea is to get as much exposure, and, as we talked about, experience. It's about getting as much experience as possible. But at the same time, your goal in mind with getting all that experience is to narrow down your niche. The more faster you narrow down your niche, the sooner you can charge more. You will have more expertise in that space. You will start building case studies that are very relevant to that particular niche. And so you'll also close higher quality clients at a higher price. So all this is only possible once you niche down. You should definitely like figure out your niche and your target audience as soon as possible, so that then you know that you have some sort of stability and you have clear direction of how to scale. Otherwise, you're just like kind of flapping, try to stay afloat, and you don't want that.
Hmm. And you know, I saw some of your reels also on this, but people, don't invest too much in upgrading their skill sets a lot. And for, let's say, for kind of editing, if there is one sort of editing is going on right now, and if you and after 1 year there is that editing process is just vanished from the market, the people want new kind of editing, then you have to upgrade your skill set. Then how about sparing time for skill set in your routine? How do you set that okay, this is a time for where I will just work on upgrading my skill set?
I don't think in terms of skill set I have a particular routine, because it's just something that I pick up on the job. Like when you're working with
Hmm.
clients, of course, you figure out that, okay, this is what's working, this is what isn't, this is the new and upcoming trend, this is just, dying out. So it's just an on the job kind of
On.
process. I think for me, upskilling becomes more about focusing on the operation side of things, like the business. How do I scale the business? How do I hire people? How do I train people? How do I up my lead generation? How do I, increase my prices, create new offerings, close new clients? Like that's the kind of upskilling that I need from a business owner point of view, rather than rather than what a freelancer would need, which would mainly be, okay, first you fix your skill set itself, and then you can decide on
Hmm.
the other things.
Hmm.
But yeah, at this stage, I think a lot of my skills related stuff is mostly about learning on the job, because we're just working with so many clients, so we have that exposure to multiple multiple data points, basically, as to, okay, this got us results and this didn't, and then of
Hmm.
course it changes for each client as well. So we pick up on the go and we learn that how to like kind of optimize results for each and every client based on the trends that we're seeing so far. So it's an
Hmm.
on the job kind of thing.
Okay. And now, from agency perspective, like when you
Mhm.
are people who are watching it, like if you are moving from being a freelancer to an agency owner, what are some of the things that you should definitely do, in your opinion, in your case, that you did and you want to tell people that do this before starting an agency?
Okay. I think one of the things I would say is, first of all, there is, in my head, there is an amount that you could make per month until which you can do it all by yourself. And I think that's $10,000. $10,000 per month is something that is very well doable as a solo freelancer. So if your goal is to make something up to that within the range of, let's say, $1,000 to $10,000 per month, I would say find a way to do it yourself, because then you have 100% profits, considering it's a service-based business. 100% profits. It's a very comfortable life, depending on what your financial goals were, obviously. And at the same time, you don't have the headache of working with multiple people.
Hmm.
But of course, there's cons to it, that you're the only one working. So you're not really building something that will eventually work without you. You're always involved in the business. But my idea is that up till $10,000, very much doable by yourself. So don't take on the pressure that, oh, if I want to scale, I have to have an agency. That's not the point. If you want to scale, you actually need a better offer. In most cases, like if you're charging $100 per month, then you're not going to hit $10,000 per month. No way. You're working with 100 clients. That's not happening in a month.
Huh.
But if you're charging, let's say, $1,500 per month or 2,000, you work with 5 to 6 clients. That's very much doable by yourself as well if you put in the work. Or you have one person who's working with you. So one person, like some sort of a VA or some sort of somebody who's related to your skill set, who can help you out. And that's pretty much it. That's a very good model. That's what I had done before I went into a full-fledged, like, okay, I need to start hiring people and outsourcing everything. Um, so yeah, that was my first step. That, okay, up to a certain amount, it's cool. I can do it by myself. The best part is that, like I said, 100% profit. That's what you should aim for. After that is once you have more work than you can handle, once you know you want to scale further, you want to go beyond $10,000, beyond $8 or $10,000 per month. Once you know that there's more you can do, there's more you can offer, and once you know that you have bigger aims and goals than just okay, you don't want to just hit $8,000 or $10,000 per month, but you want to actually create more of a change in your clients' lives, and you want to create a greater impact. That's when you start thinking about the agency kind of thing. At the same time, I would also say that people have ruined the name of agencies, because what happens right now is a lot of people, they call themselves an agency just for the sake of it while they are doing all the work by themselves. Don't do that. And also agencies in general, their reputation is very off right now because, like, again, for the same reason, a lot of people end up taking the work. They do poor quality work and then they get fired. And then the whole trust ratio for agencies is quite low at this stage. So make sure you're not falling into those things. If you're switching to an agency model, make sure that you're hiring the right people. You're focused on training them, giving them feedback. Like, that loop has to constantly be there. Get some help as well. I would say, like, find a mentor or something. That definitely helps. Like, somebody who's been there, done that, somebody who can guide you through it. It helps a lot. I had that person when I was a freelancer, so I know how much it helped me go from, making like maybe a few $100s per month to making thousands. So it there's a huge change when you find somebody who has that experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, find someone like that, and don't focus on like your agency name, your agency logo, your agency website. Like, all these things don't really, really matter. You can do them, but don't obsess over, oh, what should my branding kit be like? And what color should I use? And what should my brand guidelines be like? Doesn't matter. Just pick a name and start it.
So, like, what are you optimizing for? It's a very heavy question, but what are you optimizing for in 2023?
For 23, actually, I read this very nice newsletter by a creator I really like. He's a fitness coach, Alexander Cortez. And he had a newsletter go out on the 1st of Jan about how to set goals for 2023. And one of the things he talked about in that was to have two grand goals, like 2 points of focus, and other things just kind of, you put them in maintenance. So you're not building on them, but you're just putting them in maintenance. And I found that concept to be very interesting because I'm the kind of person who sets way too many goals and tries to do everything at the same time. And, we'll try to find time for every single thing possible. And in that kind of race, obviously, it gets stuck. And there's in trying to do everything, at certain points, you end up doing nothing. So I think the optimization for 2023 is actually to fix that. So I have set my two brand goals as such. They fall mostly under the wealth and the health category. That's what I'm focusing on. And everything else is also happening, obviously, but it's more on the maintenance, more in a sense that it's just something I'm doing, but not something I'm prioritizing as the main focus right now.
And why are you prioritizing that? Can you go deeper on that?
I think the reason I chose wealth and health, wealth obviously because I think this is a good time to focus on that for me, to grow my business, to make sure that I'm expanding in. I feel like that's the right place to put my energy right now at this phase in life. And health because it's just something that I have been prioritizing a lot over the last few months. It was quite an important thing even last year, but this year it's more like, again, it's not about just doing it every day, but it's actually improving. So I have changed my workout plans. I'm more focused on my sleep patterns and my diet, and it just makes me feel good. And I think these two things will determine a lot of the other things as well in my life. So just again, referencing back to the newsletter, the 5 things that Alexander mentioned was, there's health, wealth, there's also professional, like your professional life, there's relationships, and then there's your hobbies and interests and education. So I feel like if I fix these 2 things, wherein I'm focusing on my business growth and my health, and I feel like obviously all these other things will also fall into place because you just have more time and energy and, freedom to actually make those things happen as well.
Interesting. So, like, the health thing is also on my list, but what I am frustrated with right now is my kind of environment is not
supportive of this, because I'm going back into the loop of eating junk food a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I am in meeting with someone, and then I will have a junk food outside of my home. And so, like, how are you like, not optimizing, but how are you creating that environment that it just allows you to be where you want to reach?
One of the things about me is that I live by myself. So
Okay.
obviously most of my environment is something that I have a lot of control over, especially let's say because I work from home and because I decide, for example, you mentioned about food. I decide what groceries come in. So I've just stopped. I don't buy junk food anymore because if it's not in the house, I'm not going to eat it. But at the same time, I don't beat myself up over things because for me, I don't mind having junk food. It's not something I complain about. My problem is when I eat junk food, I tend to skip my usual meals that I really need. So my idea is, okay, eat your proper meals first. Make sure you're getting that right amount of protein. And then if you want, you can still snack or have something else, have something sweet. Um, so that's how I fix things. Wherein, like, if there's something that I know is controlling me too much, for example, like I said, junk food, I'll just get rid of it. Like, I'm not buying it. It's not in my house. There's no biscuit, cookies, chips. There's nothing in my house right now. And the same applies for many other things, right? Because a lot of things, if you have an environment where maybe somebody is just constantly disturbing you, or people have expectations, like maybe your friends are calling you out too much, or maybe they're, maybe your family is not allowing you to work, then I think again it comes down to saying no and saying, okay, you know what, I have to set this boundary with you. I cannot be doing this because I have other goals and other priorities right now, and I hope you understand. And people close to you will, of course, understand because that's just, they get you. They just get you. So yeah, I think if you set those boundaries with yourself and with other people, that's how you kind of control your environment and create it in a way that you're able to do what you want to do most.
Nice. But the thing about, saying no to your friends is a very hard one,
Yeah.
that people find it really hard to say no to their friends if they are going to some party, or if they are going to eat some
Yeah.
food, or going for a dinner which they don't want to go, but they will end up, going for it. So, like, uh, I am suffering through this, that I can't say no to my friends, and I'm not beating up
Hmm.
over that, because I love spending time with them. But it's just that if I'm going out, then I know that I will eat junk food or whatever it is, and I will some of the my most of my spending is on food only. Like 60% of
Okay.
my income is going into eating food only. So you
Right.
so uh how can you politely say no? If I can ask this, it's a very
Yeah.
dumb question, but how can you politely say no that they will also understand, and you don't have to also feel bad about it, that, oh, I said no to my friend and I'm not going to spend time with her or him, when
Hmm.
she is wanting me to spend she or he is wanting me to spend time with them. So, like, how do you
Yeah.
politely say no to them?
I think there are two things you can do in this case. First is to still hang out with your friends, but change where you do that. So going out to a restaurant is not the only way to hang out with friends. Like literally drag them to the gym with you, or go to a co-working space and sit and work with them, study with them. So you change the environment and what you do together. Maybe you can just go to the park, sit there and work, but you're still hanging out with them. So that's one way you optimize things. You also don't spend money in doing these things, and you're working, you're getting that sort of motivation and exposure. So yeah, you can, fix it that way. That's one angle. And the second thing is when, again, like I said, when they're your friends, you have to go up to them and just tell them, look, this is what I'm working on right now. So I won't be free on most days. But yeah, like every Sunday evening, if you want to hang out, I'm free on Sunday evening. I would love to hang out with you then. But otherwise, for a few months, I won't be able to do that.
Hmm.
And I think in that sense, one of the thoughts I had also about 2023 was that 2023 is going to be a year of a lot of disappointment for myself and for other people, because 2023 is going to be a year where I say no a lot. So it's going to disappoint other people. It's going to also disappoint me because there are some things that I really want to do, but I won't do it because I know it's not, it doesn't align with, my end goal or my end, like my end mission or whatever. So I think that's also another thing you should realize. And I've been there, I've done that. I've lost friends as well. Like my friends just stopped inviting me completely to things because I just said no so much. But the good ones always stuck by me and they're still my friends. It's been years and years. And that's just because they understand. They understand what life is like and you get busy. So yeah, it's all about having that open, honest conversation with them, telling them, and then just seeing how they take it.
And another thing which people go through a lot is that their ambition might be a very big one, but their friend is not like that. उनको ना पार्टी करना होगा या तो फिर कहीं पे जाना होगा, उनको हैंग आउट करना होगा, एंड देयर उनका एम्बिशन बहुत बड़ा नहीं है, बट योर एम्बिशन इज रियली बिग. बट as they say, you are average of 5 people you surround yourself with. It is true. In podcasting also, my growth has been good because I spend time with people who are improving me. So how to improve your surrounding in terms of friends, that if your ambition is this, then you find people like this.
I think that's a very wrong approach to take. I know
Okay.
that quote has been pushed so much that you are the average of the 5 people who surround you. That's okay, and that's true. It's true. Uh, but it doesn't mean that just because you have different ambitions, you just let go of these people that you love and care about so much and that you have put first for so many years, and you know that they'll always be there for you. It just doesn't make sense. For me, for example, all my friends, none of them are entrepreneurs. None of them are doing what I do. None of them are content creators or online business people. Um, some of them are studying, some of them are working full time, and they're all doing different things. So one is into marketing, one is into architecture. A few of them are doctors. Like everyone's doing something different, and it doesn't mean that I just be like, oh, you know what, like you don't, you're not doing what I do. We don't align, so you know what, goodbye. That's not how it works because I'm friends with them and I'm close to them still for some common thread. Maybe they think like me, they act like me, they're still hardworking, they're still really nice people, they're very kind, they're very generous. They put in the effort, and I admire that. So when I see that, I don't have to see them doing the same thing as me, but when I see how hard they push themselves to make things happen for them, how hard they work, and also when I see how much they encourage me and how much they support me, regardless of, like I said, when I'm just gone for a couple of months because I'm just, working so hard on something, they understand and we just like pick up from where we left off. So I don't think it's about changing your friend circle. It's not about that. It's just about understanding who's good for you and who isn't. So it's very much possible that somebody is, you do talk to them a lot, but they're just not good for you because maybe they don't inspire positivity. Maybe they just take up too much of your time. They drain you. They say things that stick with you and hurt you. And that's fine. Like then you can get rid of them. But just because you suddenly realize, oh, you know what, I want to maybe make $1 million. It doesn't mean that you leave everyone else behind. That's not friendship then. That's just you using people until when you felt like it was fit for you. So that's how I approach, making friends. But at the same time, there are certain points, of course, that I'm also more active into finding people who are like me in terms of my work. So I go out and meet people who are entrepreneurs, who are, like 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs who are doing things that I really want to be doing. Just talking to them, just being around them. Doesn't mean they're my only circle, but of course, I'm exposing myself to that environment as well. So the idea is that you don't leave people behind just until, after it serves you. And at the same time, you don't, that's not everything for you. You're still, putting yourself in situations that will help you in the way that that you really want to grow in. So yeah, that's how you should, I think that because it's people, right? It's not some quote where you say, oh, you're the average of 5 people. That doesn't matter. These are real people with real emotions. You don't do that to people.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, completely. And like, what are just absolute no for you in people, in interacting with people, or like making friendship with them, if they are like this, like clear no?
It's, I think it's difficult to say that, but I think it's a clear no usually when there's when simple things, but when they gossip, I don't like that. Like I don't want you talking bad about someone, or when they're too engrossed in somebody else's life, like they're constantly talking about something else, someone else. It's just off for me. I don't enjoy that. Um, Also, I don't like when people complain. Like, you know, everyone has a difficult life, everyone has their own challenges, but I don't like people who will sit and complain about it and then do nothing about it. So, being around people who will say, like, you know what, Shreya, this is what it is, this is what I'm going through, and I will be there as an emotional support. I will be there. I think I'm very logical also when it comes to these things. So instead of being more emotional, I'll be like, okay, you know what, this is what you need to fix, and I'll help them out that way. It can get annoying sometimes, but it's just how I think. Um, but if they're just constantly complaining and doing nothing, then I just kind of start drifting away. Um, yeah, I think those are the two main things, and just generally not having any ambition in life, like just living in a rut and just not thinking of anything else, anything that you have that you're looking forward to. I think that also matters a lot to me. Like I love people who have something to look forward to, because then we can all like sit and plan and work on that together. So yeah, those are the things that I that make me want to actually be around people.
Nice, nice. And now, like, I ask this to like my every guest, that some of the qualities that you developed in your childhood, like in your early
Mhm.
years, that really helps you in where you are right now. It is like child psychologists, have also approved this, that there are some qualities people develop
Mhm.
consciously or subconsciously, but they just develop, and it will help them, or good or bad habits. If there are bad habits, then
Yeah.
it will degrade their lifestyle or whatever it is. So like, what are some of the things that you developed during your formative years that helped you where you are right now?
I think in terms of skills, it would definitely be writing and communication. So I've always been into speaking, always been on the stage. Um, in school, I was very active, like doing everything. So I've been a part of like sports, extracurriculars, like anything you think about, I've done that, been there, done that kind of situation for all like 10, 15 years of my schooling. So I was very involved, and I think that has definitely carried forward where I'm very open to saying yes to new things and seeing how I feel about it, how they're going, even if I'm not completely sure of how they'll work. Another thing that I've definitely that stuck on with me is that I'm very close to my family, and I'm like whenever it comes to my personal relationships, I take them at utmost priority. Like for me, that's the main thing in my life. Everything else can worst case scenario, everything else can go back, but I care a lot about the people in my life, so that's definitely stuck with me. And generally, just I think having this worldview where I believe that I can do anything, and I think a lot of that has obviously come from the people I had around me during my childhood. So my family has always been supportive. My teachers in school, just because they encouraged me so much to, okay, like you have this elocution competition, you have this relay race, you have something or the other, anything, just like go and try. So because of that, I have this weird amount of self belief that okay, if I think about something and if I just put in the work, I can do it. So yeah, I think like these are the few main things that I can think of that have just stuck by me and have made me into what I am today.
Nice. And do you also a believer of, doing a range of things earlier in your life? It can help you, in becoming a better professional or a better person.
Mhm.
Do you believe in that?
Yes, I do believe that, all of your I think there's two types of knowledge and understanding, right? First is all your bookish knowledge. So the knowledge that you gain by reading. And I don't mean like textbooks. I mean just books. Like it could be fiction, non-fiction. You understand, you read, you learn. But I feel like the real knowledge is your experiences, because you can understand through books, but when you apply is when you get like this real world scenario of what it means to actually have that applied in real life. So for me, it's all about experiences first. And I think the more things you experience early on, especially the more failures you experience and the more mistakes you make, the more you understand what it is you want to do. And even better, you understand what it is you don't want to do in the rest of your life. So I've tried a few, I don't think I have been as um, I haven't explored as much as I should have yet. But at the same time, just, trying out freelancing and trying out writing, seeing where this agency thing goes, trying out content creation, and just, taking it one step at a time, releasing ebooks, releasing courses, seeing how it progresses, how I feel about each thing. That's just how I started. So even with my first ebook, my idea was only, okay, I have written this ebook. I had no idea if I would write more, if I would be interested in writing more. But I was just like, okay, let me just do one and I'll see how I feel about it and then I'll decide. And then that one ebook turned into 7 ebooks. So, it just progressed from there because I realized, okay, this is something I love and I want to do more of this. So yeah, you just try out things. And I think the more faster you try out, like imagine if I decided, okay, I'm going to write an ebook now. I would have had 0 ebooks in the last 2 years, which would have been, crazy to think about that. So yeah, the faster you try something, the sooner you also understand whether you want to do it or not.
Right. And from this, I want to, talk about this, that in India, वो ये जवानी दीवानी का डायलॉग है ना कि 22 तक पढ़ाई, 24 पे नौकरी, 26 पे छोकरी, एंड देन फिर मौत का इंतजार. इट्स काइंड ऑफ कि you are brought up in an environment where you are being told that by this age you have to do this, by this age you need to complete this, and by this age
Yeah.
you need to do this. So is there something in your back of your mind? Do you think a lot about your age, that okay, I am turning, let's say, 26 and or 25, and I have not reached that my that goal? Do you approach like that? Does age play a factor in you, that no, I'm 25, 26 and I'm just not being able to, finding what I really love, or I'm just not where I want to be? Do you find it difficult to have this conversation with yourself about, being right, uh, being complaining about your age?
Not really.
Okay.
I think I do have some complaints, but not in the way that you think. Not in the like you said, the dialogue in the movie. It's about, okay, you have your schooling, you have your degree, you have your job, you have your married life. Not in that sense, but I do think about it in a lot in the sense of my business goals, because I see, like, you found me on Twitter, so I'm sure you know how Twitter is. There's like 20-year-olds making like millions every month, and that is inspiring. And for me, it's more about that, like how fast can I push myself to get into, to get a life like that, or to get into building my business in that way. So that's the kind of benchmark I have in my head. I don't have it in the other sense yet.
Right.
But also no pressure, because I feel like maybe I'm not that young, but I'm still younger than a lot of people think. And there's a lot of time, so it's okay. But yeah, at the same time, just as fast as possible. Like I said, the faster you do it, the faster you figure out whether you want to do it or not. And so yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but India, there's this notion, right? And people find it in their peer group. They find it difficult to separate each other from what they're doing. Let's say if one is want to start earning money. He or she has some skills, and they want to monetize it, but their friends will be like, oh, you are just 19, 20. Why are you doing this freelancer or kind of stuff? Let's just go out and party, or just have fun. And there is the other side of group who are just doing freelancing, or they are just working, and they are just not enjoying uh the moments that they have to live in that early 20s, early 19s. So there is this kind of weird peer pressure they find themselves in. So like how, like, what are your opinion on this, like how they can figure out a way to be more balanced in this way, or it's just completely okay to be on any other side?
I think first of all, we need to fix the definition of what it means to enjoy life, because enjoying life is not about partying or drinking or going out every night. That's not enjoyment.
True.
I'm not that person. I don't enjoy social settings a lot. I don't go out for parties. It's just not my thing. It's never been my thing. So from the outside, I would probably be the second kind of person who is just constantly just doing the same thing over and over every single day. Probably. But at the same time, for me, experiences are different. So for me, like right now, the idea of having fun is maybe, first of all, of course, doing my work, because I want to hit certain goals. And when I do, then it's going to be a nice thing, and it's just going to be always going to be something to enjoy. But at the same time, maybe just like going out for a drive, I really enjoy that, like going to the beach or having the weekend off and maybe just hanging out with my family. So those are the small things that for me are enjoyment. Even if
Hmm.
I just get to, do nothing probably and just, go and sit somewhere for some time, for me, that's great. Like I'm very happy doing that. The
Hmm.
only thing is, like, if, like you mentioned, if you have somebody who's telling you, no, why you want to do this when you're 18, 19, like, this is time to have fun, then the idea is that this person does not align with who you are, what
Who
you
you
do,
are.
and you have to then decide if it's worth actually, thinking about them so much or caring about what they say. Because if not, like if that person is not encouraging you when you know that this is the thing you want most, like there's nothing else you want right now, then you have to make some hard decisions about how you approach conversing that with that person. Um, but yeah, that's when you can think of, okay, whether this person is good for me or not. But it's fine. Like it's fine. You do you, and there's no pressure of, oh, this is enjoyment, and if you're not doing this, you're not making the most of your life. Like
Hmm.
nothing like
Hmm.
that.
True. True. क्योंकि like yeah, there is some definition, weird kind of definition people have set for enjoyment also, as you said, like spending time with yourself and reading a book is, if for someone, that is enjoyment, and if you're enjoying that,
Yeah.
do it. Completely agree with it. Now there is one, I like when Kunal Shah said this, that it's not because we are talking about experiences.
Mhm.
Kunal Shah always says this, that number of years experience doesn't matter too much, but number of experiences in a year matters too much if you want to
Yeah.
grow as a person. So like, what were some of those experiences for you in last 1 year that made you a better person?
Oh, so many things. Um, in the last 1 year, a lot has changed because
Okay.
it's almost 1 year since I moved to Dubai. So I had a lot of trouble before I moved to Dubai. There were a lot of things that just went up and down, and it got pushed. Like I was supposed to be here about 3 or 4 months before I actually ended up moving here. So that time it took a lot of like patience, a lot of just like calming down and thinking it's okay, it'll work out. Because when this one main thing is not happening as you expected it to, and as it should have, then there's this crashing feeling like, oh, now it's all over, like nothing is going to ever make
Huh.
sense again. So I think just overcoming that was one of the biggest experiences that I've had. The other experience has just been like living by myself again, because I lived by myself when I was in university, but then it was a hostel and you have a lot of things taken care of for you in a hostel. But now it's like my own apartment. So I have to figure out my own stuff. So my own bills, I have to understand how to do my own insurance, how to manage my own bank accounts, how to, all these small things, that everyday things like buying your groceries and making sure you can try to finish them before they go bad. All these small everyday things, you have to do it yourself, right? So that's also been a huge experience. Met a lot of new people in the last year, and a lot of people, like a lot of really good people that I didn't expect I would ever meet. So that has also been, very life changing for sure. And I learned driving. So I got my license, and I've always been very excited about driving. I've always wanted to drive. I just didn't have the opportunity to, but now like I have a license, I have a car, and I'm just like very happy about that. Like those are the few like highlight moments of the last year. And just generally, I think just figuring out, okay, what it is that I want to do. So like I said, now I know what I want to do this year and it's largely because of the experiences that I had last year. So now I know that out of all these things, these are my focus points because this is what I care about most in the next few years. So
Mm.
yeah, I think those are like the main highlight moments,
Nice.
along with other
Nice.
things. Yeah,
It seems like a pretty nice year from my perspective, because
it is.
you have, as you said, like those small things, as you are living by yourself, those little small things, as you said, ki grocery khatam ho jani chahiye before they go bad, all
Yeah,
those things you don't just realize in your daily life. If you're, like in Indian household, it is like your mom is taking care of your
yeah.
father is taking care of it, and you just don't realize it. And yeah, crazy. uh Now I want to ask you this: why you just moved to Dubai? Because you were in UK. Like, why to not any other country?
So I was in Ireland.
Okay.
That's not a part of UK. So I was in the
Haha,
Republic
Ireland,
of
Dublin,
Ireland.
Dublin.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
Dublin.
Sorry.
Yes. So I studied there. I was there for like 3.5 years or so. Um, I didn't want to stay there anyway. I didn't even
Okay.
like. I loved my university. I loved the whole exposure that I had there. But I wasn't a fan of the weather. I wasn't a fan of the kind of people around.
People,
Not
yeah.
really. Yeah. So there are a certain few things that Dublin has that are very characteristic to Dublin, which are good and bad. But the bad things are like really bad for me. Like they stood out of all the other good things as well. So I didn't want to stay there. And the other thing is also that most of the countries are not actually suitable for self-employed people. So they're not very like it's very difficult to set something up and actually try to move there. You need to like maybe get property or something, and then that's a huge investment.
Hmm.
But in Dubai, things are different. They actually promote and they encourage that even if you're self-employed, you can set up your own business here. It's it's more convenient than other countries. And also just overall, I like the idea that now I'm still close to home. Like if I ever want to go home, it's just like a 3 hour flight away compared to when I was in Dublin, it was at least a day of travel, considering, two flights and at least 15 hours on the plane.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's closer to home and it's I think anybody comes to Dubai. Like I said, I've met so many new people because everyone comes to Dubai, right? They have a layover here or they just stay for a couple of days and go back, but they have some sort of a hub or, something in Dubai. So that's nice. Dubai doesn't have any taxes as well, which is of course a great thing. The quality of life, I really enjoy it, especially as a person who is young and who is self-employed, who has a lot of time to like explore and go out and do things if she really wants to. Then I like that whole environment. I like being in that kind of an environment. So yeah, for me, Dubai felt like the right choice, and at least for a few years now. So let's see how
Hmm.
that goes.
Nice, nice. But from India, where are you from?
I'm from Mumbai.
Oh, then like why you not thought about Mumbai? Because Mumbai is a media capital of India. You are
Yeah,
uh there are multiple agencies there, and you know that content creation game is like, as many people say, that if you are into video creation and it's some kind of creative creation, Mumbai is the best place to be in India. Then
correct.
why you didn't think about that I should move to Mumbai only?
Because Mumbai is home for me, and home is too comfortable. I don't like
Okay.
that. I have to be myself first of all. Like if I want to make things happen, I need my own space and I need my own like I need to be alone so that I can
Hmm.
think and so that I can make things happen. That and it's too comfortable. I have to be out of my comfort zone, otherwise I'll just slack off.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Right. Interesting. Now there are some of the questions I took from my friends who are running an agency. So I will just
Mhm.
quickly go through them and I will ask you about it. First question from my one of my friend is, they are struggling to justify their quotation. Then like how to justify uh their quotation in front of the client, because uh where they are, like, I'm from Baroda, Gujarat. So people are charging very very less amount of money to break the market and to get more and more client. And because of that, people who are doing good work also, they have to suffer with this, that, oh, this one is charging that this thing only, why are you charging this much? So how to
Yeah.
justify that kind of quotation when you have right amount of skill set, and when you have right amount of good amount of people to pull off a good amount of work, then how to justify that quotation?
If I'm assuming that you have good case studies, you have good work, and that your prices match the value that you have to offer. If that's the case, then you actually just need to find richer clients. You need people who have money. If you're dealing with people who don't have money, who are making comparisons and who are looking for the cheapest option and not for the best option, then they shouldn't be your target
Hmm.
client.
Hmm.
If you know you're different and if you know you have to charge a certain minimum base fee. So I think your friend's solution is to find people who have more money and then pitch to them.
Right. And how to find? a richer client, or how to find good clients when you scale a little bit and now you want to move from a certain kind of income bracket to now you want to charge as an agency this much amount of fee, and how to find clients on that.
See, it has a lot to do with your need. It has to do with, like, the example that I always like to use is I see so many people who want to write SOPs for students. Uh, SOPs would mean like your statement of purpose that you use in university applications. They want to write that for students, and they are like, okay, but how do I scale this? You are not going to scale this because students are broke. Students who want to apply for colleges are broke. Yes, they may be paying lakhs and crores maybe to study abroad, but they know what financial strain they are under and what pressures they are under to make that happen. They won't be able to pay more than, let's say, $100, and I'm talking top end, $100 to get an SOP written. They are not repeat customers. They're not going to come back to you because once it's done, it's gone. And at the same time, they are not the only one making the decision. They are not the main decision maker. It's their parents. Because if they're applying for college, then they would have to ask, oh, can I get $100 because I have to pay somebody to write my SOP? Their parents decide for them, not them. So when you're keeping all these things in mind, you just realize that, freelancing as somebody who's writing SOPs for students is just not a viable career option because students are broke. They don't have money. So unless you want to do it as goodwill and you're like, it's okay, I don't really want to make money, that's a different thing. But otherwise, yes, students are broke. So you have to fix who you're targeting. You have to fix the location. Like you said, you're from Baroda. Now, if you know that in that area, most people have a certain pricing expectation that you are not able to match up with, you don't pitch to them. That's not your target audience. You pitch to people outside that region. It doesn't even mean going international. It means finding businesses that are making more money and have more value to get from your service. Now, how you do that depends. Like, you have all these marketing strategies that you could do. You have your LinkedIn outreach, you have your cold emailing, you have your cold DMing, you have all these different things. You have cold calling. You can get inbound leads as well. You could have performance marketing. Like, there's a lot of different things that you could do, but none of that matters if you don't know who you're targeting. So, yeah,
So
find
first, no.
richer clients.
Yeah. So first, based on your, like, to summarize your answer, like, main thing is know your target audience really well, so
Yeah.
you can know. Cool. The next question is, do you think in nowadays, as an agency owner or as a founder, it is beneficial to have a personal branding like you have
Mhm.
on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter? You have a good amount, healthy following right now.
Yeah.
So do you think is it necessary to do this, or it is more beneficial? It will just add up to your, when you go and meet your clients, they kind of get an impression that you know your game really well.
It is necessary
Hmm.
because at the same time, right now, everyone's doing it, especially if you're in like this marketing side of things as an agency, then it makes sense because it's obvious. You should be marketing yourself, you should be promoting yourself, talking about your services. And it's definitely a differentiator because if you're just reaching out to someone cold, then they don't know you, then one of the ways that they can trust you is by seeing your content, by seeing how you speak, by seeing how you write, by seeing how you talk about yourself, what are the things you've done, how consistent you are, and what are the results you're getting for your own profile. All these things add up. They're not the main deciding factor. Obviously, your service has to be good, but at the same time, these things aid the process, and you want that aid as much as possible. So definitely, yeah, like build a personal brand along with whatever else it is that you're doing.
Hmm.
And if you have multiple, like maybe you have 2 or 3 co-founders, each person should build their own personal brand for sure.
Cool. Uh, Now another question is that I think many people will is struggling with this, that what to do when the client is expecting too much in less budget. Or let's say they want you to over deliver a lot, over from your deliverables. Like, what to do
Okay.
then how to communicate with that client clearly.
You don't work with them because the thing is, you can't change certain expectations of people and you feel like they'll understand right now. But once you start working with them, they'll just be the biggest complainers. They'll
Hmm.
complain about everything. They'll try to squeeze work out and they'll try to be like, oh, and they'll keep reminding you, you know what, I've paid you $1,000, so I need at least 5 edits. They may not even have any real changes to get, to get made on that piece of work, but they will force it because they feel like I have to squeeze every, like, the value out of every dollar that I've paid you, every cent that I've paid you, it has to make sense. And you don't want that. So I would say all these certain questions, I guess there's certain points of negotiation. Like I said, it depends. If it's a good client and they're making a reasonable request, they're saying, look, I can pay you what you want, but I need maybe 10% more work. If you want to consider it, you can. I'm not saying no. But the point is, when they are expecting way too much and they're expecting you to dial down on your pricing, it's a red flag. You don't want to work with them.
One question is how to set, proper quarterly goals for your agency model. Like how to set that and how to optimize for quarterly goals. These are our target. And from that only, one is asked is, what should be our main objective? Is to earn this much amount of money, or to have like what should be the objective? It is on money side, or it is on people side, that I want to hire this much amount of people, or I want this kind of processes.
Look, the goal of any business is to make money. That's when it's a business. If it's not making money, it's not a business. So the goal of any business is to make money, and of that money the goal is to obviously maximize profit. That's the bottom line. The next step to this is, there is this very popular like quote related to business, that you're a business only as long as you have leads, as long as you have prospects. If you don't have these people in pipeline who want to buy from you, then you're not a business. That's it. So your goal as a business, it's not about how many people you hire. It's mostly about how much revenue are you generating. And you can have that goal. Like, let's say in the first quarter, I want to make $50,000. Okay, that's your goal, first quarter. But now, how do you get there? What do you do to make $50,000 in the first 3 months? What are your action points? You can have this goal, but what are your action points? How many clients do you have to close? If you have a $10,000 service for a 3-month period, then you have to close 5 clients who will pay you $10,000 over 3 months. You hit your 50K, 5 clients. If you are charging lesser, if you're charging like $2,000 per month, you have to work with 5 clients. How do you acquire these clients? You have to take it backward. So you can have a goal, but that goal has no purpose if it doesn't eventually, if you don't like reverse analyze it and, do all of that. And if you don't come back to, okay, I need to start sending 1,000 cold emails a day. I need to make sure I'm getting at least on like 30 calls a week. And of those 30 calls, I have to make sure I'm at least closing 3 deals. If you don't have that in mind, that $50,000 is just it's daydreaming. It's not a goal. So yeah, like you can set any goal you want, but the point is that you have to backtrack it and understand what exactly do you have to do to get there. Then that's your focus point. Your focus point is not hitting 50,000. Your focus point is, okay, I have to close 3 clients this week for $5,000 per month. That's your goal.
Right. Reverse engineer it, and it is completely okay to have an objective of earning this much amount of money as an agency. Cool.
Yeah.
As now you have people in your team, like what are some of the self-awareness that you had as a leader, that okay, I didn't knew about myself, when you are communicating with your team, then you find out, okay, I'm like this, okay, I need certain things like this. So what are some of those self-awareness that you had when you are working in a team?
I think it's not a good self-awareness. Like, it's not the best thing, but I'm just very aware that I can really pick on things very quickly if they are not done in a certain way. Like, I don't even have to read through the whole thing. If I just look at it, I know what's wrong. Like, I'm very good at understanding whether something is good or not, and that's a good thing. I'm just very quick with it. The next thing is not the best thing, where I'm just like, okay, that's where I'm like, fine, I'll have to just do it myself. And when I get to doing it myself, it's where I'm back again to not letting the team do it, but again, I'm working by myself. So that's the number one thing I've understood about myself, is that I try to get into the work too much, and it's a good thing that I can pick on whether something is Shreya approved or not, whether it's Shreya quality check or not. But at the same time, it's not good that instead of giving feedback, I'm more like, you know what, just this is your feedback, but I'll just fix it myself. That shouldn't happen. So yeah, that's something I'm working on changing. Like I said, um, being more of a leader rather than doing the work.
And what do you mean by that?
Like I said, it's about not focusing on the client service fulfillment, not doing the work. It has to be about running the team, about leadership. So it's you're not doing the job, you're leading the team on how to do the job. So
You are
there's a
not
difference in
involving
that.
yourself a lot in your daily operations.
I am at this stage, but I shouldn't.
Ha, ha, ha.
I
That's
shouldn't.
what
Yeah.
that's what you mean, right?
Yeah.
I just remember this when you posted that picture of you buying your new car, and there were a lot of backlash from your Twitter audiences, and people were writing passages and trolling you.
Yeah.
Like, how do you handle that kind of backlash then? Like, how it will not affect you, because sometimes it gets to you.
Honestly, I had just bought a new car. I cared about nothing at that moment. I was so happy. I was very proud of myself. I still am. Like even now, whenever I see my car, I feel like I can't believe I did this because I never imagined that I would do it at this point in life. I didn't imagine it would be a car like that. So just to have that, like, I don't care what people think of it because it's my car. It's something that I know what I did to get it. I know how hard I've worked and I know how I got it. So it's, yeah, so that's what matters.
And
So yeah, you just like, yeah,
so you don't pay much attention to that, or what? Or it just
not
affects you?
anymore. I
Huh.
used to.
Hmm.
I don't anymore because also I think when people criticize something that I've written, maybe like an idea that I've put forth, maybe let's say I was talking about why it is important to get a car when you're in Dubai as a freelancer. And then I put some points that, oh no, even if you don't have to go out for work, you should still get a car because da 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 da. And then if somebody says, you know what, you're wrong, I can converse with them because it's some question mark about an idea or it's, well, not if they say that I'm wrong, like then I don't really care. But if they are actually asking, no, but does it really make sense? And then we can converse about it. But if I bought a car and you say I don't deserve to have a car, or you think that there's something sketchy involved in me getting a car, I have nothing to say to you because it doesn't matter what you think of it. The fact is the car is mine and it is here and it's just what it is. So then I just block these people. Also, the comments have gotten much worse since I've moved to Dubai because people have many preconceived notions about what living in Dubai means. And so yeah, it's taken like 4 years to get like used to all these weird comments, but I'm glad I'm at that point because it's more important now than it has ever been to just ignore these people.
Other thing, about your like managing your time, like about productivity, how do you ensure? There is something called, when you do an activity, and other
Right.
thing is you are making a progress with it. People confuse activity with progress. They just do randomly stuff.
Yeah.
They feel productive, but they are actually not making progress. So like,
Yeah.
how do you make this thing that you are actually making a progress with it, and your what you are doing, it does make sense? So how do you manage your productivity in that sense?
I think it depends a lot on how I feel at the end of the day. So before I'm going to bed, how do I feel about what I did that day? If I feel like, no, I didn't do anything, then I'm going to change it the next day. And I know that I have to pick some other things to do. If at the end of the day, I feel like, yeah, today was a good day. It felt like I was moving. I got something done. I made some sort of a difference. Then I know that, okay, yeah, this was a good day. So it's usually not in the moment. It's usually afterwards when I realize how I felt about it. And then based on that, I change it the next day.
Nice. And like, what's your daily routine looks like? Like, how do you go about your day?
So I don't have much of a fixed routine as such, but yeah, in the last few weeks I've changed it. So I wake up around 6 or 7 nowadays, which is nice. Then get to work.
And you sleep at?
I started sleeping around like at 10 or 11 now.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, until 2 weeks ago, I was a 2 a.m. to 11 a.m. sleeper, but I changed that. So yeah, so the first, like, I wake up, I get to work, like, my first order of business, get work done, make breakfast, get work done. Then in the evenings, I go to the gym. So usually around 5 to 8 or 6 to 9 or something, I go to the gym. I come back, I eat food, and I'm so tired that I sleep. So that's how it's been for the last couple of, like, last 2 weeks or so. And it's working out great because one of the only things that I said is like, okay, I have to go to the gym around like 5 or 6. So I have to finish my work before then, and I have to go to sleep right after that. Like, I can't stay awake. So I think it puts a lot of other things into place where I'm like, okay, I have to get things done, because if I don't do it now, then either I can't go to the gym, or I go to the gym and then I can't finish that work. So it's how I've kind of set my routine now.
What advice you will give to a 20-year-old who is just starting out freelancing? What you will tell him to her?
I think the most important thing I will tell to young people who start freelancing is that don't get caught up in the shiny object syndrome. Because what happens is, as a freelancer, if you think that you want to make, let's say, $1,000 per month, it's very likely that you will very quickly hit that amount, and you will feel like, oh, I've made it. I've done everything that I wanted. And then you're like, okay, my next goal is to hit 2,000, but instead you hit $5,000 maybe. And again, you have that feeling like, oh, I did everything. I've got it. I want it. All that stuff happens. But then at a certain point, life becomes so comfortable. Like, you feel like you have everything. Okay. Because honestly, at that certain income bracket, you feel like, yeah, now I can, like, I don't have to worry about money, right? Now I can go out. Now I can pay for certain things without thinking about it. Now I don't have to worry about rent. I don't have to think about my family. I can also help them out a bit. And all those things, it happens. And when that happens, you stop working. You get so comfortable that you're like, oh, this is nice. I don't want to do anything else. And if let's say your night was at $10,000 per month, you stop working and you start slacking off. And when you slack off, it's okay, fine. If you want to maintain 10K, nothing bad about it. Sure, go ahead and maintain 10K. But the problem is, most people go down. They go backwards because they stop working. They stop thinking about it. Life becomes too comfortable, and you have more than you can imagine. And suddenly you're like, does it really matter? Like, do I really need more money? I don't think I really need it. I'm okay. So don't let that happen. Like, don't ever stop working. Um, don't ever stop putting in effort, because at the end of the day, I think you still need that to be going for you. Don't get caught up in these things.
Nice, nice. So thank you so much, Shreya, for doing this. I really had a great time. I learned a lot from you. I hope ki the questions that my friends asked, it is really well answered by you. So thank you so much for doing this. How was your experience?
It was great. Thank you so much. And I always love when conversations are more free flowing, and when yeah, like just how this one was. And it was very thought provoking. I enjoyed talking about, there's a lot to think about, especially with the friends angle about, you know, um, how do you deal with them, and how do you make friends and things like that. So it was an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. There is so much to talk about with you that I will definitely have to do a second part of it, but after some point of time.
It
So
is.
thank you so much for doing this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks,
And can you
Utsav.
just say to our audience, like, share, and subscribe to our episode, and share this video with people who are doing freelancing or agency owners. Say this.
Okay. Hi, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And just send it to all your friends who are agency owners or freelancers, or who you just appreciate because they're so supportive of you. And yeah, just pass it on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shreya.
Yeah, you're welcome.